our panel today, I've sent them questions ahead of time. We're first going to do a little bit of introduction. But these questions are sort of around that idea of what did I do before? What am I now doing? How is what I'm now doing getting me closer to that which I desire? And financial planning has an incredible capacity to help facilitate that movement. So with that, oh, everybody, nice. I can just pick this up then. That's so much better. With that, we're going to start right into our panel. I'd like to introduce very briefly, we have Kristelle Harper, Kris Egilson, and Terry Keane. And first, to just get going, I'm going to have them just spend a couple of minutes describing where they are, what their family consists of, where your operation is, and a little bit about what your operation consists of. So maybe we'll start with you, Kristelle.
So like Bluesette said, Kristelle Harper. I did my animal science degree, and then I did a regenerative ranching diploma. And then I worked at MBFI for a number of years, and now working at MNP as a farm management consultant. And then I have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old, so it's been wonderfully chaotic and busy this summer. Sorry for that. That's okay. And then our farm operation, I farm with my father, Brian, aka Tillyman. And we have a cow-calf operation just outside of Brandon. We also will bring in backgrounding or custom grazing depending on our grass needs. We like to say that we're grass farmers. So those animals are just a tool that we use to harvest. And then I also started a business just in about 4 years now, a direct-to-consumer business of all regenerative products. So different meats and different either beauty products or home products, things like that. And then we are just finished up our 2nd year of our U-Pick pasture pumpkin patch, which is a tongue twister in itself. But yeah, that's it.
Great, go ahead, Kris.
Oh, hi, is this on? My name's Kris.
Just it doesn't sound very.
Hello, that sounds
Yeah.
better. My name's Kris here. I'm just from the last presentation. I'm going to try to stay out of the F state. I'll admit, speaking in front of a crowd's not my strong point, but I'll try to stay in the C state here, calm. But we ranch, my wife and I, around Langreuth, and we have a cow, calf, and long yearling operation. Just a bit about myself. My wife and I, we took over the ranch around 2013. I moved away in 2003, graduated, and everyone told me there's no money in ranching in that time. So I got a mechanical engineering degree and worked away for about 10 years. So it's been about 11 years since I've been back. And I always say the main thing I learned through my education was you can do anything you put your mind to. So I tried to apply that to the ranch, and again, questioning the why kind of led me to holistic management. I took the course with my wife in 2015 with Don Campbell, and it kind of opened my eyes to look at things from the whole. So from there, we started trying to calve in sync with nature and manage the land a little bit better, and still again working off the farm with a small company, but yeah, again, cow, calf, long yearling, and we're trying to get into a little bit more direct marketing. And I know with my questioning mind, I'm trying to understand, to figure out a better way to connect what we're doing on the land to consumers that might find value there. So I touch on that a bit, but yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Kris. And Terry.
Hello, is this on?
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Terry. I farm in a 3-generation operation. We have cow-calf operation. We grain farm. My husband is Pioneer seed salesman, so sometimes that runs counterintuitive to holistic management. So we kind of butt heads once in a while because I am the cow side and he is the grain side. He is also trying to manipulate his mind around more of a regenerative aspect on the grain side. So we have to give him all the credit in the world there when he is dealing in a corporate industry. We took holistic management 10 years ago with Don and Bev. And we took that when Cliff and Brenda were still running the cow-calf operation. And we did try to implement some things there, and that was hard. But they got out of cattle about 6-7 years ago now, and Andy looked at me and said, make it profitable or they're gone. So then I took everything that we had learned from Don and Bev and started implementing it. And we have now taken the holistic management again this winter with Bluesette, which is huge for Andy and I, because it just reinstated the values of holistic management, and it helps us make better financial decisions now than we have ever made before. I have lots of background in animal health and people health. I am always learning new things. I just came back from South Dakota on an osteopath tour for horses and people, and so we're forever learning in the field of healthcare in livestock and people as well.
Thanks, Terry. That's quite a variety of experience there. You can hear there are some undertones and commonalities. Thank you very much, everyone, for describing a little bit, kind of opening your novels to us and letting us read a chapter there. So maybe if you could describe, each of you, the system that you ran your finances, either whether it was growing up maybe on a place, or what you used to do in financial planning, if there was any planning or accounting or things that were happening before. So just give a little description. We'll start with you, Terry, this time, about what you used to do maybe pre-HM financial planning. Does that help specify?
Sure. For me and our operation, me as a child growing up, we didn't spend money unless we had it to pay for it. And Andy's operation was very much the same, but Andy is a huge forward thinker, and he is of the mind you have to spend money to make money. So both of us had to work together on my need to understand how we're going to pay for something and his forward thinking. So we have gone through many different systems of how we make decisions over the years. We've also had to work within family units, which are some are very calculated and some are loose cannons. And it's a forever changing model, and holistic management is starting to create some solid foundation for us to make decisions.
Thank you, Terry. Kris?
Yeah, so probably before learning about the financial side of holistic management, I know we were really managing our books mainly for income tax, coming back, questioning my parents a little bit, why are we doing this, and, scrambling to find what costs, and, put them down on paper really just to see if you're in the black or in the red, at the end of the year, and then when I started questioning, why can't we try to cost per acre or, dollars per cow kind of thing, I was kind of told that's impossible. So the whole planning side, I think was introduced through that, and but again, there was some butting heads on that, but it's a process.
Thank you, Kris. Kristelle?
My parents took the HM course in 2015 with Kris. So now since I've been more actively involved in the operation, getting more coming into an HM operation already was really beneficial. And then I waited till I had a spouse to take the HM course, so we just took it. So it's been really, really, I don't know, convenient or nice for us that we all understand the same lingo and building, like Terry said, that solid foundation, but from us right from the start. But before that, it was basically whatever the accountant's book, just like Terry said, doing it for the accountant and hoping that you made some type of money on it or didn't lose much anyway.
Yeah. Thank you. So just for clarity, some of the concepts around holistic management, financial planning, because you can have access to budgeting tools in many arenas. What sort of sets holistic management financial planning apart is that if you don't financially plan with a goal or a holistic context in mind, many of the decisions that or questions that come to mind when you're financial planning, you may not be able to answer. Because a critical component of financial planning through holistic management is, does it get you closer to your goal? If you do not have that goal in mind, you won't be able to answer that question. Another few things around holistic management financial planning is being able to sort expenses, for example, is being able to plan for profit or pay yourself first. It's being able to project a full year of your operation to see if you can cash flow. And then it's also, probably most importantly, asking yourself, are we okay with this result? And if not, giving yourself the space and grace to go back and replan before you're in a financial crisis. So given that some of those financial planning tools you learned about in a holistic management course, which areas do you think have added the most value or enriched your operations? So what comes to mind that was really helpful about that process? We'll start with you, Kris.
Probably that planning for profit up front and really getting ahead of the game, being proactive, not reactive, was probably the biggest thing. So again, getting something down on paper, it's easy to change that, with an eraser and replan, at the front end versus looking at that statement at the end of the year. So, once that became obvious, I think then it started looking at how to do things differently, and it led to trying to be more in sync with nature, calving on grass, getting into the more bale grazing, lower input. So I think, again, having a plan is the biggest first step. And then that kind of identifies your weakest link as well. I think that those decision-making tools that they lay out, you can only get that if you have a plan on paper. So.
Okay, so the plan, the weak link exercise, and a decision-making process. Did I capture that?
Yeah,
No?
I think so.
Okay, yeah. Good. How about you, Kristelle? What are some things that stand out about the process that have helped elevate? And if you have an example, by all means share it, like a specific example where it helped you. Go ahead.
For us, one of the most recent would be the gross margin or planning for profit. But I really do like the planning beforehand, so I can know, okay, is this actually going to work? So for example, with our pumpkin patch, we know we did a SWOT analysis too beforehand to know if that's something with our vision and mission for the farm in mind too. So similar to the decision making, but knowing, okay, this works in our family. This will work for us, be a strategic fit for the operation and labor wise, and we can also see the profit for this. But then also going back and monitoring those expenses to see if what you thought was going to be the expense actually was, and then replanning after that.
Can you describe whether there was stress related to the idea of a pumpkin patch beforehand, and if that was relieved at all? It's sort of a leading question, but once you did the plan, did that decrease?
Yes, although I realized I didn't know anything about growing pumpkins. Yeah, and my normal buddy, my dad, that is always on all of our extravagant challenges, was not on the ball game as much. So that was, but then showing him how, okay, look at these numbers, this is what I can do per acre, and it's a strategic fit labor-wise for our operation. It helped, but we may have been both shocked that we grew pumpkins.
And just one more clarifying question, if you will. So do I understand it correctly that you did not transform your entire operation into pumpkin growing? It was a test plot idea, enterprise?
It's an acre behind our house. So we
Right.
do about 800 plants a year
Yeah.
in the acre.
And I mentioned that because part of a tool in holistic management is being able to test an idea out. So, running the gross profit analysis and then maybe not just transforming the entire operation from cattle into pumpkin, but, see what's out there and see what works and what doesn't work. All right, Terry.
These two have done a very good job. So for us on our farm, one of the biggest things in the last year since we spent time with Bluesette, Andy and I have implemented the value-based questioning of big decision-making. We've used it. We've actually backed out of huge commitments because of it and then talked ourselves back into it. So the value-based thing was a huge process for both Andy and I to go through, so that now that we've talked ourselves back into that entity, we can be at peace with one another as to why we chose it, because quality of life and resources are something that I think on most operation we do not consider. We consider finances, we consider resources, we consider land, but we don't consider quality of life, and we don't consider the people we're burning out with the decisions we're making. So I think for us on our operation, the value-based questioning is very important for making good, sound financial decisions, because it doesn't let us forget the people and their values and the things that are important to them. And for us, we have a 12-year-old and a 15-year-old that are very busy in a lot of things. And when I can't get them there or be there to watch them, then we're not making good decisions. And so we have to think about that, especially if we want to see them come back for the next generation.
Very well said, Terry. And what I appreciate about your answer is drawing the connection between your financial plan and your goal. So that quality of life piece, how it fits into a 3-part goal that talks about what about our people? What's important to them? And financial decisions have a huge impact on quality of life. We can ignore or pretend and sweep under the rug, and maybe we could talk to Andy about how well that works out. Not to throw, he's not here, so I can talk about him. But I really appreciate that connection and your specific example. Really do value that. Speaking about that goal, so if quality of life is the first part of a holistic goal or a holistic context, there are things that we can identify, systems or behaviors or management processes that we can put in place in order to achieve that quality of life that we desire. And then in a third part, you would identify your vision. What do you see in the long run, like for generations to come? If you identify the quality of life and you create the systems that will get you there, what does that look like in perpetuity, generations from now? So when you think about this financial planning piece, the profitability that will allow you to continue your operations, whatever that looks like, can you describe what that future vision is for your operation and maybe how your financial planning will get you there? So what's your future vision and how will the planning of finances help get you there? Kris, do you want to start?
Sure. I'll just touch on our holistic goal a little bit from Terry's point, and I think I can match a little bit of that to the financial side. My wife and I, we have a 6-year-old and a 3-year-old, and I think that how to keep the ranch running for their sake, and I do believe in the saying that we're just borrowing the land from our children. I think that is something that I think about. I didn't, in the intro there, it's a 4th generation ranch that I'm on, and again, that long-term thinking, sometimes that's not always applied to the financial model today, like, every quarter, needs to have a return, in the corporate model, but I think a lot of us on the land need to have that bigger picture. So as to the longer process for our ranch, I feel a weakest link for us was a bit of the marketing. And I think that ties back to my story why I left, after high school, when there was a significant market crash in 2003. Having some control on your end price. And I think tying into holistic management on the land side of things, we do a lot. I think there's a lot of value there, that moving away from being as much of a commodity, right? If we're going to be intentional to manage the land for next generations, we should shift from a commodity side of thinking to a product side. And that's where I think the marketing end will come in. And that's kind of where we're dipping our toe in the direct marketing path, which I feel that's a bit of a upward battle, but I think if we put our minds together, we can come up with a solution. So that's my long-term goal, is to work on a solution to help connect producers to consumers. So,
Kristelle.
So for our future visions of the farm would be to be building that capacity, not only on the land side, building the carrying capacity, but also building the capacity on the farm for if my kids want to come on the farm, that we're able to have 2 families living off the farm income. Then also adding diversity to the farm. So diversity with animals, plants, always trying to add as much or more diversity than what we have today. Then adding enterprises to bring more generations and autonomy to the farm. So being able to kind of also do those risky, but do planning. Like one day if one of our kids want to start an enterprise, then we'll be able to show them with the planning and hopefully be able to help them with their dream of running that enterprise. And then my dream is hopefully eventually a little regen egg only store on the side of the highway that brings together all producers and products that are centered around that.
Thank you. That sounds amazing. Let me know when that hits. I'll be driving down the highway. Terry.
For Andy and I, our bigger goal future is obviously the dream is the kids take it over, but we also need to realize that they have to find their own purpose. And should that be not on farm, we want to be an open opportunity for like-minded people, because the land goes before us and we are only stewards while we're here. So whether it's our kids or it's other people that come into our path and into our journey, and we can inspire and financially support or encourage others to get involved, whether our operation goes into the future or it becomes 3 other operations, we would like to see that future come to fruition, that the land continues to, I want to say heal, because I am watching it heal itself. And as it heals itself, the animals become stronger, more resilient, and so do the people that are living and producing and growing and making products to go out into the world and to educate. That is mine and Andy's future goal.
So what I think is really remarkable is that this is a financial planning panel. We're not up here to tell you how to do a gross profit or to sort your expenses. But I wonder if you heard a few of the key words in those messages around future vision. I heard the word dreams, sustainability or regeneration, maybe alignment. I mean, these aren't necessarily terms that you would normally hear on a talk about financial planning, but I really appreciate how you've each brought to light how intrinsically connected your goal is to your financial planning, because without the long-term profitability, your operations would not be in existence for your future generations. And that has been recognized up front, and the profit planning is a tool to get there. And I think that's extremely remarkable, whether you call it holistic management or regeneration, or that you're just good stewards, that financial planning portion is an integral part to that process. So before we end, I'll just leave one more question, which is there anything else, now that you have the stage, that you would like to share with us? And if it's karaoke, that's okay, because we're all kind of feeling that afternoon lull. But if there's anything else that you would like the audience to hear about you, your operation, about the future of, the industry, whatever it is. Do you want to start, Terry? No pressure. If you don't have anything, you can pass. It's just like the talking stick. You can just pass if you want to.
I think I'm out of words.
Okay, let's pass, to Kristelle.
I have something, and
Yes.
if I don't say it, it's gonna fly. 'Cause,
Okay.
yeah, I say I made 2 brains and I lost mine in the process.
You make 2 brains. Your children, you're
Yes,
referring
my
to.
children.
Yeah. Okay.
So I was just gonna say, from a younger generation coming back to the farm with the older generation, some of you guys might be on either end of that, but one thing was how open my dad has been, and how willingness to try things and talk things out. That relationship is so very special, because I like the speaker before, feel safe with him in order to have those conversations. And I think I feel very sad when daughters-in-laws or anything like that don't have that operation when they can have that conversation. So
Thank you.
if you're the younger generation, go for it. I hope it all works out. But if you're the older generation coming in, make sure to have that open mind, and be able to talk things out instead of just putting a hard line in the sand that this won't work, right?
Excellent, thank you. And good job, Dad. Yeah. Parents, I know it's more of a... Kris?
I'll continue on with that relationship side and how I think it fits into holistic management, the 3 legs to the stool. Okay, and as farmers, well, for myself, I like to just spend time out on the land, right? And for working with the cows, seeing the improvement there. So that's the one important leg, right? We have the financial side, which is very important, right? To make sure things are profitable. But then the people side, back to the relationships. I think that is very important, as to raising a family. And I think that's tied into my weakest link that I'm going to throw out there, to the marketing. I think sometimes we don't tell that story that we are seeing on the land to some of the consumer side. And making that connection, I think, is a big part to get holistic management and regenerative agriculture to keep moving forward. So I'm just going to give a quick plug for my own.
Do it.
Yeah, I'm just to deal. My engineering mind keeps going through the why, and I think that loss of connection between urban and rural is something that we need to work towards, and we have to work together. I know getting into the direct marketing side, it's one thing for me to sell a significant amount of my animals to people in the city, but I think we have to work together. Back to the 3 legs, it's very seldom that one person wears all 3 hats, right? And very good with relationships and marketing, the finances, as well as the land. And I think we need to work with some other partners to help get our product to market. And again, I just have a project that I've started with the University of Manitoba, actually, and I've coined it, the company is called the Canadian Meat Board, to kind of cut out some of the middle, try to better connect consumers and producers with a digital platform, as well as a last mile delivery side that would help people shake the hand that feeds them. So I think that's a big part of the puzzle. I'm going to be trying to promote it on my social media a bit. We're building a little bit of a prototype that hopefully will have something in the spring. But again, relationships, that's it. It's important.
Shake the hand that feeds you. I love it. Instead of bite the hand that feeds you. That's, really cool. So if you want to know more about that, talk to Kris. Terry, any last words? Again, I just don't want to overlook. Good?
All I can do is encourage everybody to be open-minded and open-hearted.
Yeah.
Thank you. We're all out there to do something great, so don't underestimate yourself.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, well, with that, I think we're just going to take a few moments for questions because, we're going to stand between you and free time and food. So I just wanted to give you an opportunity. We have the 2 mics up. Is there anyone that has any questions at this time for the panel? So there's Kris, Kristelle, and Terry. I think we have a question over here.
Hi. If there was one piece of advice that you could give your younger self when you were in your 20s, what would it be? Finances or not?
Ooh, there you go. Yeah.
I ran equine programs for years for young kids, and I wish somebody would have told me this, is there's no such thing as can't. So take the first step and then the next.
I think the thing I would tell myself is reframe failure as a bad thing. It should be first attempt in learning. I have had a fear of failure for many years. I didn't want anyone to have a farm tour for years because of that. And I think trying to get that out of my mind for myself. So just
fail, F-A-I-L, first attempt in learning. Excellent, thanks. Kristelle?
I think mine would be that it's okay to take a break and go find out what your passion is. You don't need to be going to school all the time or working 24/7. It's okay to take 6 months off, go to Australia, go find where your passion is before you really get going somewhere.
Your ikigai. Find it. Your reason for being. Any other questions before we close our panel? Anybody love that awkward silence? It's my favorite. People start sweating. Okay, well, with that, I think I'll pass it back over to Mike Dogood. And while he's walking up to the stage, does anybody ever tell you should do bad? All right. One round of applause for our panelists. Thank you very much for being bold, coming up here to talk about your finances.